It's a shocking video we first brought you this past weekend. A gunman opening fire outside a house party near St. Clair and O'Connor. In the end, no one was seriously hurt, but amidst the chaos, many did what could only be expected. They dialed 911. And one of those callers says what happened next left him stunned.
I heard a bunch of people screaming and looked outside, and there was kids running around all over the place, and we determined that it had been gunshots, actually.
It was just before 11 on Saturday night when shots rang out on Alder Avenue. This man, who asked us to protect his identity, says he and two others grabbed their phones and called 911.
I called first time at 10:47. I was on hold for 3 minutes, and then I gave up and tried calling back again, hoping maybe for a different result. But the call didn't go through, and then I called again and was on hold for 4 minutes, almost 5 minutes, and still didn't get through, but my father was able to get through on the landline.
In total, he was on hold for nearly 8 minutes and in the end never spoke with a dispatcher. Others around him who were also trying 911 told him they were having the same issue. An unsettling feeling considering they had no idea where the gunman had gone and how badly people might be injured.
In the moment, it was pretty scary. It doesn't sound like a lot of time, but in the moment it felt like forever, and we were kind of freaking out. And you expect someone to be there, and it's not even like someone picks up and puts you on hold. It just goes straight to an automated message.
Toronto police confirm one man was shot in the hand. No arrests have been made. In a statement, a spokesperson tells City News, on the night and time in question, we had a very quick, very intense surge, 33% in 911 calls over a very short period of time that coincided with the sound of gunshots in 54 Division. Multiple calls were about that sound of gunshots. We were able to start dispatching resources to that incident within 49 seconds of the first call. That very intense, brief surge meant, unfortunately, that not all 911 calls were answered as quickly as we would have liked. But this isn't a new phenomenon. This past April, the Toronto Police Services Board approved the hiring of 50 additional staff members after a report found the 911 call center had seen an increase of nearly 40,000 calls from 2016 to 2017, with frequent reports of unacceptable wait times on emergency and non-emergency lines, as well as increased time spent on each call. Meanwhile, the number of staff working had not gone up in 25 years. Toronto's average wait times were 17 seconds for emergencies and 2 to 3.5 minutes for non-emergency calls. The international standard for 911 is 10 seconds for 90% of calls. Toronto Police told us today that 60 additional staff members have been hired since October of last year. It's unclear how many of those came since the board approval for more staff 5 months ago, and how many have actually been trained and are on duty. They would not make anyone available today for an on-camera interview.
In a city as big as Toronto, you would expect them to staff the 911 operations in a way that the calls can get answered in a timely manner, especially for serious emergencies like that. If you're waiting 4 minutes, it doesn't sound like long, but within that time the person's long gone, and all the people who were there left. There was no witnesses left.
Now, this very issue was brought up by mayoral candidate Jennifer Keesmaat, who this week pledged to tackle 911 call wait times, recounting her own experience with an intruder in her home and being put on hold by 911 dispatchers. In a statement, Mayor John Tory tells us he was part of that push to approve 50 new operators this spring, and he says he expects calls to be answered within seconds, calling it non-negotiable.